They tried to hide the human princess, but she chose the battlefield. The soft hum of the engines vibrated through the deck, a quiet reassurance in a galaxy that had become increasingly hostile to humans. She had not always been in hiding. Once she had lived in the golden halls of Earth's capital, where every day was filled with ceremonies, advisors, and political meetings. Now she was a fugitive, her life a delicate balance between secrecy and survival. The ship, named Aurora's Shield, had been provided by the neutral Terran Alliance, a coalition that still respected humanity's legacy despite the growing fear and envy of other civilizations. Her guardians, hardened veterans of countless skirmishes, moved quietly around the deck, checking weapons, scanning systems, and ensuring that the princess's safety was never compromised. Despite their vigilance, Alara refused to be a passive passenger. "Commander Ryan," she said, turning from the viewport, her voice firm despite her youth. "I want to see the tactical simulations again. I need to understand the movements of enemy fleets. I need to know how we would survive if they find us." Ryan, a grizzled human with scars mapping his face like a living history, raised an eyebrow. "Princess, you should be resting. We've got hours before any known threat is near. Let the crew handle the drills." Alara shook her head, her long braids swinging as she moved to the tactical console. "I cannot rest, not when our enemies are planning my capture. If we survive, I will need more than luck. I will need strategy, instinct, and courage. I need to know how humans can outsmart them, even when we are outnumbered." The holographic display flickered to life, projecting a three-dimensional map of the nearby sector. Ships of the Triac Collective, a coalition of alien worlds with advanced technology and brutal strategies, moved in simulated patterns. Alara studied them carefully, memorizing positions, movement speeds, and firing ranges. She tapped a series of commands into the console, adjusting maneuvers, testing scenarios. The human mind was unpredictable, she thought. That unpredictability could be their greatest weapon. Hours passed in quiet focus, broken only by the hum of the ship and the occasional alert from Astra, the ship's AI. "Princess, sensors detect an unidentified object approaching from Sector 12, Astra said, her calm voice filling the control room. "It appears to be a reconnaissance drone, unknown affiliation." Alara leaned forward, her fingers resting lightly on the console. "Can it be neutral?" "Unknown. Visual confirmation is obscured. Movement suggests scanning rather than attack," Astra replied. Ryan entered the room, his expression grave. "Princess, we might need to engage. Stand back from the console." Alara's heart raced, but she did not move. Instead, she studied the projected drone on the holographic map. "No," she said firmly. "Let me try first. I can jam its sensors without firing. If it's scanning, I can mislead it. If it's hostile, we'll know before it gets too close." With a few swift gestures, she rerouted power through the ship's stealth systems, creating a false projection that mimicked a dormant cargo vessel. The drone slowed, adjusted its path, and then drifted away. Ryan blinked, impressed despite himself. "I've seen soldiers fight like this, Princess, but you think like one of us. You're not just hiding in shadows." Alara smiled faintly. "I will not hide forever. If humans are to survive, if Earth's legacy is to continue, I must learn to fight and lead. Hiding is temporary. Survival is only the first step." That night, in the quiet hours when the crew slept, she trained in zero-gravity combat. Ryan had insisted on providing her with simulation armor and energy pistols. At first, she had struggled, her movements clumsy as she floated through the chamber, spinning and twisting to strike targets. But each day, each session, she improved. She learned how to anticipate movement, how to exploit weakness, and most importantly, how to remain calm under pressure. By the seventh day, Alara could navigate a three-dimensional combat environment with precision. She could dodge incoming fire, counterstrike with accuracy, and even manipulate the ship's magnetic fields to her advantage. Her guardians, once wary of her insistence on training, now watched her with a mix of pride and astonishment. Meanwhile, the galaxy around them was not idle. Reports from neutral stations trickled in. Rumors of the Triac Collective preparing fleets, seeking to remove the human princess before she could consolidate power. Entire worlds whispered of humanity's unpredictable nature, of how the species had survived against impossible odds in the past. Fear, respect, and envy all combined to make humans a target. Alara did not dwell on fear. Instead, she studied, learned, and prepared. She read reports on alien tactics, analyzed past battles, and observed the weaknesses in technology she had only ever seen from simulation. Her mind became a weapon as sharp as any blade or gun. One morning, as the Aurora's shield passed a dense asteroid field, alarms blared. The ship shuddered violently as a hidden boarding pod struck its hull. Ryan shouted orders and the crew scrambled. Alara ran to the tactical console, her training kicking in instinctively. "Princess, stay back," Ryan yelled. "I'm not staying back," Alara said, her fingers flying over the controls. She rerouted power to the hull's defensive grid, sealing off the airlock sections and activating automated turrets. The boarding team breached the outer hull, but they were met with calculated resistance. Alara directed the ship's defenses, guiding each countermeasure with precision. The intruders, a mix of robotic and organic operatives, were caught off guard by her anticipation. Within minutes, the threat was neutralized. Not a single human life was lost. When the chaos subsided, Ryan approached, breathing heavily. You saved all of us," he said. "I thought you would hide, but you fought. You're remarkable." Alara's expression was steady. "I am a human. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and never giving up. If hiding keeps us alive, we hide. But when the time comes to act, and we act boldly." That night, she walked alone to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before her, distant suns burning with colors she could not name. Somewhere out there, the Triac Collective was watching, waiting for a mistake. Somewhere out there, other threats moved silently through space. But Alara felt no fear, only determination. She placed her hand on the cold glass, imagining the worlds that humans had touched, the challenges they had overcome, the battles fought not just with weapons but with courage and intellect. She would not be a princess locked away in luxury. She would be a leader on the battlefield, a symbol of human ingenuity and spirit. The galaxy had tried to hide her, thinking that humans could be contained, controlled, or intimidated. They had underestimated the resolve, the creativity, and the boldness of the species they feared. And Alara intended to show them just how dangerous humanity could be when it refused to cower. By the time the first warning lights flickered across the ship the next day, Alara had already made her decision. She would no longer be hidden. She would no longer wait for the right moment. The battlefield would come to her, and she would meet it head-on. Her training, her observations, and her instincts had prepared her for this moment. The galaxy might think of humans as fragile or reckless, but she knew the truth. Humans adapted, humans survived, and humans fought, not just to live, but to shape the future. Alara looked at her reflection in the viewport, her young face set with determination. She was a princess, yes, but more importantly, she was human. And humans, she thought, never stayed hidden when the world needed them most. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but she no longer felt small against their vastness. She felt alive, capable, and ready. The journey ahead would be dangerous, filled with battles, betrayals, and unimaginable challenges, but she would face it. She would not run. She would not hide, she would fight. And so, Princess Alara of Earth, the last heir of humanity's unified government, chose her path. She would no longer be a symbol in hiding. She would be a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy had tried to protect her, to shield her, to keep her safe, but she had chosen the battlefield. The first sparks of distant conflict glimmered on the horizon, and she welcomed them. For in the heart of every human burned a courage that no alien threat could ever extinguish. The Aurora's shield continued through the void, carrying its princess and her guardians toward a future where humans would no longer be underestimated. And for the first time, Alara allowed herself a small, fierce smile. The game had begun, and humans never lost when they played boldly. The stars stretched endlessly, but now they carried a new weight. Princess Alara knew that the galaxy had taken notice of her survival. The Triac Collective, a coalition of alien worlds feared for their ruthlessness and advanced technology, had begun mobilizing. Their warships moved with calculated precision, scanning sectors for signs of her and the human fleet. They underestimated humans once, but Alara knew they would not make the same mistake again. The Aurora's shield cut through the void, weaving through asteroid fields and debris belts to avoid detection. Despite the ship's small size, it carried a fleet of human allies who had sworn loyalty to the princess. Their numbers were modest compared to the Triac forces, but humans were unpredictable, clever, and relentless. That unpredictability was Alara's secret weapon. In the command room, holographic maps glimmered in the dim light. Alara stood before them, flanked by her guardians and advisors. The room was tense, each breath measured, each glance sharp. "Princess, we have confirmed reports," Ryan said, pointing at the map. "The Triac Collective has mobilized 3 full fleets. They are converging on Sector 27. If we stay hidden, they will find us. If we engage, the odds are not in our favor." Alara's eyes narrowed. "We will not stay hidden. Humans do not hide when the galaxy threatens them. We fight and we adapt. The more they believe we are weak, the more advantage we have when we strike." Commander Lyra, a veteran strategist, spoke cautiously. "Princess, leading the fleet directly could be dangerous. They have superior numbers and firepower. It is a trap." Alara turned to her with unwavering resolve. "Then we make our own trap. They underestimate humans. That is where we will win. They expect fear, but they will find courage. They expect retreat, but they will find strategy. They expect hesitation, but they will find audacity." The human fleet moved quietly, using asteroid belts and nebulae to mask their positions. Alara coordinated supply lines, ensuring every ship had fuel, ammunition, and repair materials. She studied the enemy's possible tactics, simulating their movements and preparing countermeasures. Every decision, every adjustment was calculated with precision. As the fleet approached Sector 27, a warning signal flashed across the main console. Triac drones were scanning the area, probing for human activity. Alara's fingers flew over the console, rerouting power to stealth fields and creating decoy signals. The drones slowed, adjusted, and then passed, failing to detect the hidden fleet. Ryan shook his head in disbelief. "You are not just clever, Princess. You are extraordinary. No one else would have thought of that." Alara did not smile. "Cleverness alone is not enough. Humans are adaptable. We use every tool, every advantage. Even in darkness, we find light." Days passed as the fleet continued its cautious advance. Each day, humans honed their tactics, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. The princess trained with soldiers in combat maneuvers, mastering zero-gravity techniques and hand-to-hand combat. She learned the intricacies of alien technology, studying their ships, weapon systems, and shields, discovering weaknesses that could be exploited. One morning, the calm of space was shattered. Triac warships appeared on the horizon, vast and imposing, their silhouettes dark against the starlight. Hundreds of ships, their numbers far greater than the human fleet, moved with precision and intent. The Triac had arrived. Alara's heart pounded, but her mind remained clear. She walked to the center of the command deck, addressing the fleet. "We are outnumbered, yes, but humans are never defeated by numbers alone. They will expect fear. They will expect hesitation. We will give them none of it. Follow my orders. Trust your training. Trust yourselves. And remember, we are humans. We fight with courage, ingenuity, and determination. Today, we make our stand." The fleet moved into position, using asteroid fields and nebulae to break the Triac's formation. Alara coordinated every maneuver, her mind calculating multiple possibilities at once. She directed decoy ships to draw enemy fire while the main fleet prepared an ambush. Every decision was precise, every move designed to turn the enemy's strength into weakness. The first battle erupted near the edge of a dense asteroid cluster. Triac warships opened fire, their energy beams slicing through the void. Humans dodged, adapted, and countered. Using rapid maneuvers and clever positioning, they struck vulnerable points in the enemy formation. The Triac were skilled, but they had underestimated the humans' unpredictability. Alara moved through the command deck like a conductor guiding an orchestra. "Ryan, deploy the ion disruptors on the left flank. Lyra, redirect the fighters to intercept the central assault. Keep the supply ships protected. They must survive." The battle raged for hours, a chaotic dance of light and fire. Humans displayed ingenuity in every attack, using asteroid debris as cover, exploiting enemy blind spots, and improvising when systems failed. Triac ships fell one by one, unable to predict the adaptive strategies of their smaller, more agile opponents. Amidst the chaos, Alara identified the enemy command ship, directing the Triac forces. Its position was critical. Taking it out could turn the tide. She personally coordinated a strike, guiding a squadron of human fighters through a narrow asteroid corridor to reach the flagship. The maneuver was risky, but the humans executed it flawlessly. The flagship erupted in a blinding flash of energy as human torpedoes found their mark. Triac forces were thrown into disarray, their coordinated formation shattered. The remaining ships attempted retreat, but the humans pressed their advantage, striking with precision and courage. After the battle, the fleet regrouped, their ships damaged but intact. Alara moved among the crews, offering encouragement and praise. You fought bravely. You adapted, you survived, and you showed the galaxy what humans can do when they refuse to back down. Today, we were outnumbered, but we were not defeated. Today, humans proved that courage, intelligence, and determination matter more than numbers alone. Ryan approached, his expression filled with awe. Princess, you led us to victory. You were not just a figurehead, you were the heart of this fight. Alara shook her head. We all are. Humans survive because we think, because we act, because we do not accept defeat. I am proud of each of you, but remember, this is only the beginning. The Triac will regroup, and they will not forget today. We must be ready for what comes next. In the quiet moments that followed, Alara stood on the observation deck, staring out at the remnants of the battlefield. Fires glimmered on distant ships, the wreckage of the Triac forces floating in the void. She thought of the lives lost, of the risks taken, and of the courage displayed. Humanity had survived again, not through technology alone, but through spirit, ingenuity, and resolve. Astra, the ship's AI, spoke softly. Princess, sensors indicate additional Triac fleets moving toward our position. They are likely coordinating a counterattack. We may face a larger battle soon. Alara's gaze remained steady, her mind already calculating strategies. Then we prepare. Humans do not flee from challenges. We adapt, we innovate, and we fight. Let them come. We will show them that humans are not just survivors. We are leaders, innovators, and warriors. The battlefield is where we belong, and we will not back down. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing ships, restocking supplies, and training for the next engagement. Alara spent hours in simulations, testing scenarios, predicting enemy movements, and refining strategies. Her presence inspired the fleet. Humans of all ages and backgrounds worked harder, fought smarter, and believed more fiercely in their own abilities. As days turned into nights, the Triac fleets grew closer, their numbers swelling. Alara knew the coming battles would be even more dangerous. She studied the enemy meticulously, analyzing their technology, communication methods, and battle strategies. She learned to anticipate their moves, to predict their weaknesses, and to exploit their arrogance. One evening, as the fleet passed a glowing nebula, a young fighter pilot approached her. Princess, how do you remain so calm? The enemy is vast and their power is overwhelming. Alara smiled faintly. Because humans are not defined by fear, we are defined by courage. We are defined by our ability to think, to adapt, and to act when others hesitate. Numbers mean little when the heart and mind are strong. Remember that, and you will never feel powerless, no matter the odds. The pilot nodded, inspired by her words. Around the fleet, morale remained high despite the looming threat. Humans had faced impossible challenges before, and they would do so again. Alara's leadership had transformed fear into determination, hesitation into action, and uncertainty into opportunity. As the Triac fleets approached, the first probes of war reached human sensors. Alara coordinated defenses, deploying interceptors, activating shields, and preparing ambushes. Every maneuver was precise, every strike calculated. Humans moved with purpose, courage, and ingenuity, defying expectations. In the command room, Alara's voice was calm but firm. They believe they are superior. They believe humans are weak. Let them discover how wrong they are. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. Stand ready, act boldly, and remember, our strength lies in our mind, our spirit, and our courage. Humans never hide when the universe challenges us. We rise. The stars beyond the viewport seemed to shimmer with anticipation. A new battle was about to begin, one that would test every skill, every strategy, and every ounce of human determination. Princess Alara, the last heir of Earth, would not cower. She would lead. She would fight. And the galaxy would learn that humans were a force unlike any other. For Alara and her fleet, the battlefield was not a place of fear. It was a stage to show the galaxy the brilliance, courage, and resilience of humanity. And they would seize it with everything they had. The void was silent, but the tension aboard the Aurora's shield was palpable. Princess Alara stood at the command deck, her eyes scanning the star-streaked expanse before her. The Triac fleets had grown larger, more organized, and more relentless. Their advanced ships now moved in coordinated patterns, probing the human positions with deadly precision. This was no longer a skirmish. It was a test of human resolve against a superior enemy. Ryan and the other human commanders hovered near the holographic map, their expressions grim. Princess, reports indicate that the Triac have deployed elite strike forces. These are their most experienced combat units, designed to overwhelm and eliminate high-value targets like you, Ryan said, his voice steady but edged with concern. Alara's gaze did not waver. Then we show them why humans are unpredictable. We do not rely on numbers, we rely on ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Let them underestimate us, they always do. Then we strike where they least expect it. Commander Lyra stepped forward. Princess, leading the fleet directly against elite forces is dangerous. If we fail, it could be catastrophic. Are you certain? Alara cut her off firmly. I am certain. Humanity survives by facing challenges head-on, by thinking faster, adapting better, and fighting smarter. I refuse to wait in the shadows while the galaxy assumes we are weak. We will fight, and we will prevail. The fleet moved through a dense asteroid belt, using the rocky terrain as natural cover. Alara had studied the Triac strategies carefully, predicting their movements and preparing countermeasures. Human ships darted between asteroids, their smaller size and agility giving them an advantage against the larger, slower Triac vessels. The first clash began with a barrage of energy fire. Triac warships unleashed beams that sliced through the void, aimed to annihilate the human front line. Alara had anticipated this. She commanded her ships to split into multiple groups, using evasive maneuvers and magnetic shielding to deflect attacks. Deploy the plasma drones, Alara ordered, her voice calm and precise. Target the left flank and draw their attention. The main fleet will move in from the opposite side. The plasma drones glowed brightly as they darted toward the enemy ships, creating chaos in the Triac formation. Human fighters weaved through the battle, striking vulnerable points and retreating before retaliation could reach them. Alara's fleet moved like a living organism, each part responding to the enemy's actions with calculated precision. Amid the chaos, Alara noticed a Triac flagship coordinating the enemy forces. Its massive size and advanced shields made it a formidable opponent, but she had already predicted its weaknesses. Ryan, Lyra, we take the flagship. It's the heart of their fleet. If we remove it, the rest will falter. The plan was daring. Human fighters would create a diversion, drawing the flagship's fire away, while a strike team moved through a narrow asteroid corridor to breach its defenses. Alara herself joined the strike, knowing her presence would inspire the soldiers and increase their chances of success. The journey through the corridor was tense. Asteroids brushed dangerously close to the ships, and the Triac flagship fired relentlessly, trying to anticipate human movements. But humans were not predictable. They adapted, twisted, and maneuvered in ways the aliens could not calculate. Finally, the strike team reached the flagship. Boarding pods detached, sending elite human soldiers directly onto the alien ship. Alara led them, her training and instincts guiding every movement. The corridors of the Triac ship were foreign and dangerous, filled with alien technology and automated defenses. But humans adapted quickly, disabling traps, avoiding ambushes, and pressing forward with relentless determination. They reached the command center. Alara and her team moved with precision, using cover and coordinated attacks to neutralize enemy officers. The Triac commander, a towering figure with armored plating and multiple limbs, confronted her. Its weapon hummed with energy, ready to strike. Alara did not flinch. She studied its movements, noticing the rhythm in its attacks. Using her agility and understanding of timing, she dodged a series of lethal strikes and countered with a well-aimed plasma shot that disabled the commander's weapon. The creature staggered, confused by the human's speed and ingenuity. With the commander neutralized, human forces took control of the flagship. The rest of the Triac fleet, seeing their command ship incapacitated, faltered in disarray. Energy beams misfired, formations broke, and morale plummeted. Alara ordered the human fleet to press the advantage, striking with precision and exploiting every weakness. Hours passed in a blur of strategy, calculation, and combat. Humans displayed creativity that the Triac could not anticipate, using asteroids as shields, launching coordinated strikes, and adapting instantly to unexpected attacks. Each victory, each ship taken or destroyed, reinforced the belief that humans were not merely survivors. They were exceptional strategists and warriors. After the battle, the human fleet regrouped. Ships were damaged, but the core remained intact. Alara moved among the crews, offering words of encouragement and guidance. Today, we faced elite forces and survived, not through luck, not through superior technology, but through courage, intelligence, and determination. Humans adapt, humans endure, humans win. Ryan approached, his face lined with exhaustion and admiration. Princess, you led us into battle and brought us victory. You've shown them why humans cannot be underestimated. Alara shook her head. It was not just me. Every human here played their part. Every mind, every hand, every heart contributed to this victory. That is what makes us strong. That is what makes us human. Remember this, the galaxy may challenge us, but it will never break us. Despite the victory, Alara knew the Triac were not defeated. They would regroup, strategize, and return with greater force. She spent hours analyzing battle data, learning from every maneuver, and preparing for the next encounter. Her mind was a weapon as sharp as any plasma cannon or missile launcher. She also trained tirelessly, knowing that leadership required not only strategy but personal skill. In zero-gravity simulations, she perfected hand-to-hand combat, movement in confined spaces, and coordinated strikes with her soldiers. She learned the patterns of alien tactics, discovering vulnerabilities in both their technology and psychology. Days turned into nights aboard the Aurora's shield, but the princess never rested. She monitored every signal, every transmission, every movement of the enemy. The human fleet followed her lead, inspired by her courage and clarity. They trusted her not just as a princess, but as a commander, a strategist, and a symbol of human determination. One evening, as she reviewed the latest reports, Astra, the ship's AI, spoke quietly. Princess, sensors indicate that the Triac are preparing a massive counterattack. Their forces are larger than any previous engagement. They may attempt to overwhelm us entirely. Alara did not flinch. Then we prepare. We have learned from every encounter. We have adapted. They may have numbers, but humans have ingenuity, courage, and spirit. We will face them head-on, and we will prevail. The fleet worked tirelessly, repairing ships, restocking supplies, and refining tactics. Alara oversaw every detail, ensuring that each maneuver, each attack, and each defensive action was precise. Her leadership transformed the fleet from a collection of ships into a cohesive force, capable of outthinking and outmaneuvering a larger enemy. In quiet moments, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She had once been a princess hidden away for protection, but she had chosen the battlefield instead. She had transformed fear into strategy, uncertainty into opportunity, and hiding into leadership. The galaxy had tried to contain her, but she had shown that humans thrived where others feared to tread. As the Triac fleets approached, the tension grew. Every sensor ping, every distant flash of energy signaled the arrival of the next great challenge. Alara's mind raced, calculating possibilities, predicting enemy movements, and preparing contingencies. She knew the coming battle would be the ultimate test of human ingenuity and courage. When the first signs of the enemy appeared on the sensors, Alara addressed the fleet. This is the moment we have prepared for. They believe that numbers alone can defeat us. They believe humans are weak. Let them discover how wrong they are. Fight with your minds, your hearts, and your courage. Adapt, improvise, and strike boldly. We are humans. We survive, we endure, and we triumph. Today, we shape the galaxy's view of our kind. The fleet moved into position, ready for the confrontation that would define humanity's place in the stars. Alara stood at the command deck, her eyes fixed on the horizon of fire and stars, knowing that the battle ahead would test every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of courage. But she also knew that humans, when united and determined, were unstoppable. The Triac approached, their fleets vast and imposing, but they had underestimated the human spirit, ingenuity, and resilience. And Princess Alara, the last heir of Earth, was ready to show them the true power of humanity. The void trembled with the promise of battle, and Alara welcomed it. For the first time, the battlefield was not just a place of danger. It was a stage where humans would prove that they were more than survivors. They were innovators, strategists, and warriors. They were unstoppable, and the galaxy would never forget the day humans chose to fight without fear. The stars were alive with movement. The Triac fleets, countless and relentless, stretched across the void like a shadow meant to swallow the human fleet whole. Princess Alara stood on the command deck of the Aurora's shield, her eyes focused on the flickering holographic map. Every blip represented a ship, a mind, a life, but more importantly, an enemy that underestimated humans. "Princess," Ryan said, his voice low, "this is the largest force we have ever faced. They are coming with everything. If we fail—" Alara turned to him, her expression steady, calm, and resolute. "We will not fail. Humans survive where others falter. Humans adapt, innovate, and fight with courage no machine can match. We have prepared for this. Trust the fleet, trust yourselves, and trust me." Commander Lyra, beside her, clenched her fists. "They have superior numbers, superior technology. How do we stand a chance?" Alara smiled faintly. "They assume their superiority is enough. That is their mistake. Humans do not fight like anyone else. We turn weaknesses into strength, chaos into opportunity. Today, they will learn what that means." The fleet spread across a wide corridor of space, using dense asteroid fields and cosmic debris to mask their positions. Alara had designed a strategy that relied on deception, agility, and unpredictability. Humans may not have had the largest numbers, but they had something the Triac never anticipated: ingenuity combined with daring. The first wave of Triac ships struck, energy beams slicing through the void. Human ships twisted and spun, evading attacks, using asteroids for cover, and striking with precision where enemy shields were weakest. Every movement was coordinated by Alara, her mind running calculations faster than any computer. "Deploy the ion disruptors," she commanded. "Target their central fleet. Distract them. The flanks will move through the debris field." The human fleet moved like a single organism, each ship responding instantly to commands and adapting to new threats. Triac ships fired relentlessly, but humans were elusive, striking back with clever maneuvers and unexpected tactics. Plasma torpedoes ricocheted off asteroids, hitting enemy vessels from blind angles. Fighters darted in and out, like shadows in the void, sowing confusion. Alara noticed the Triac Command flagship coordinating the attacks, its massive size a central point of authority. "That ship directs their forces," she said. "If we take it down, the rest will falter. Ryan, Lyra, we move now." The plan was dangerous. Human fighters would launch a multi-pronged assault, drawing enemy attention, while Alara led a strike team directly to the flagship. Every ship, every pilot, every soldier knew the stakes. Humans thrived on challenges, and this was the ultimate test. Alara's shuttle glided through the debris field, accompanied by a squad of elite human soldiers. Triac turrets fired relentlessly, but the humans' unpredictability and swift maneuvers allowed them to evade most attacks. Explosions flared in the void, lighting the corridor with bursts of green and orange. Inside the flagship, the corridors were unfamiliar and hostile. The Triac had layered traps, automated defenses, and alien soldiers trained to anticipate human behavior. But humans were not predictable. Alara led the team with precision, disabling traps, neutralizing guards, and moving steadily toward the command center. Finally, they reached the heart of the ship. The Triac commander, a towering figure with multiple limbs and armored plating, waited. Its weapon hummed with lethal energy. The air was tense, silent except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Alara did not hesitate. She analyzed its movements, noting a rhythm in its attacks. Using speed, timing, and precision, she dodged the first flurry of strikes and countered with a plasma pulse that disrupted its armor. The creature stumbled, confused by her audacity. Humans were faster, smarter, and more unpredictable than it anticipated. The strike team moved with coordinated efficiency, disabling key systems while Alara confronted the commander directly. Every strike was calculated, every movement a demonstration of human adaptability. The creature, despite its strength, could not anticipate the improvisation and courage of its opponent. Finally, with a decisive maneuver, Alara disabled the command center's primary controls. The flagship faltered, energy surges rippling through its systems. Triac ships around it became disorganized, their coordination collapsing. Outside, the human fleet pressed the advantage. Alara had predicted this moment. Chaos among the Triac forces was their opportunity. Human ships struck with precision, targeting weakened points, using debris and countermeasures to maximize damage. Triac vessels fell one by one, their elite forces unable to regain control. Hours passed in a tense blur of strategy, combat, and adaptation. Humans demonstrated brilliance at every turn, using creativity to overcome technology, courage to overcome fear, and determination to overcome impossible odds. Every ship, every soldier, every mind contributed to the victory. Finally, the Triac commander surrendered, realizing their elite forces were no match for human ingenuity and spirit. Alara addressed the captured commanders. "You believed your technology and numbers would dominate. You underestimated humans. We are not just survivors. We are thinkers, fighters, and leaders. Today you have learned that humanity cannot be controlled, intimidated, or ignored." Back on the Aurora's shield, the fleet regrouped. Ships were damaged but functional. Crews were exhausted but alive. Alara moved among them, offering encouragement and recognition. "We faced the impossible and succeeded, not through luck, but through intelligence, courage, and determination. Humans thrive where others falter. We have shown the galaxy that we are not to be underestimated." Ryan approached her, awe in his eyes. "Princess, you led us to victory. You showed them why humans are unstoppable. You've changed how the galaxy sees us." Alara shook her head. "It is not me alone. Every human who fought, every mind who calculated, every heart who did not give in, this is our strength. We survive, we adapt, and we triumph together. Remember that. Humanity's spirit is unbreakable." Even after the battle, Alara did not rest. She oversaw repairs, coordinated supply lines, and studied the Triac's tactics to prepare for any future threats. Humanity had survived, but the galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers. She trained tirelessly, improving her skills, her strategy, and her leadership. One evening, after ensuring all systems were operational, she stood on the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before her, distant suns glowing softly against the blackness. She thought of the lives lost, the courage displayed, and the victories earned. Humanity had proven that survival was not enough. They could fight, they could innovate, and they could lead. Astra spoke softly. "Princess, sensors indicate that other civilizations are observing. Your victory has made humans a symbol of strength across multiple sectors." Alara's gaze remained steady. "Then we will continue to show them what humans can do, not through fear, but through courage, intelligence, and determination. We will lead, inspire, and shape the future of the galaxy." The fleet continued its journey, no longer hidden, no longer merely surviving. Humans had chosen the battlefield and had proven their worth. Every pilot, every soldier, every civilian aboard the ships carried the same knowledge. They were capable, they were brave, and they were human. Alara walked among the crew, her presence inspiring confidence. Young pilots trained with renewed energy, soldiers studied tactics with sharper focus, and engineers worked tirelessly to improve ships and weapons. Humanity's spirit thrived not in hiding, but in action, in courage, and in unity. The Triac, once confident in their superiority, now recognized a new reality. Humans were not to be underestimated. Every encounter had shown that ingenuity, creativity, and bravery could overcome even the most advanced technology. Alara addressed the fleet one final time, her voice carrying across the command network. "Today, we have proven that humans are more than a species. We are thinkers, fighters, and leaders. We face challenges head-on, adapt faster than anyone expects, and never surrender. Remember this, the galaxy will judge us not by our size or numbers, but by our courage, our intelligence, and our spirit. We have chosen the battlefield, and we will continue to thrive there." The stars stretched before them, a limitless expanse full of unknown challenges and opportunities. But for the first time, the human fleet did not feel small or powerless. They were capable, united, and unstoppable. Alara stood on the observation deck, the wind of the ship's artificial gravity brushing her face. She allowed herself a small, confident smile. She had once been a princess hidden for protection, but now she was a leader, a symbol, and a force of humanity. The galaxy had tried to hide her, but she had chosen the battlefield, and in doing so, had shown that humans thrived where others feared to tread. As distant enemy fleets retreated, and neutral sectors sent signals of admiration and alliance, Alara knew that this victory was only the beginning. Humans would continue to explore, defend, and lead across the stars. They would face challenges, but each one would only strengthen their spirit. The Aurora's shield and its fleet moved forward, lights glowing against the darkness, a beacon of hope, courage, and resilience. Princess Alara, the last heir of Earth, had chosen the battlefield. And humanity had risen to meet it, proving that no force in the galaxy could suppress their ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable spirit. The universe had been warned. Humans were not just survivors. They were leaders, innovators, and warriors. And they would continue to shine, bold and fearless, wherever the stars stretched. They tried to hide the human princess, but she chose the battlefield.